transparent, like real talk. When my husband and I got in this industry, we paid a lot of really hard lessons, and we paid to go to school. And we lost a lot of money getting in one specific arena, and that was getting into commercial and not asking enough questions, not leaning on to our colleagues. We got opportunities. To this day, still with our company, we have not spent any money on marketing. We're not really on social media at all. All of our business is completely from referral, and that's predicated on our reputation in the industry. I do think that we need to start working on that, but there's so many people in this industry that are a wealth of knowledge, that have already paid the hard lessons, that have learned what not to do. Everybody is trying to capitalize on different verticals for money making in this industry. There's a ton, but reputation is key. And with that being said, there's so many people around that if you just start, like I said, introducing yourself to each other, start asking questions, then you're gonna be funneled to the right people that can save you from making a lot of really, really expensive mistakes in this industry on the commercial side. You make a mistake residentially, you're looking 10, 15 grand at the absolute most. Residential or commercial, you're looking at 6 figures, easy. Very, very easy. Liability is huge. So the next speaker that we have coming on has got a servant heart. He's passionate about the industry. He is just a big ball of energy. He's going to bring the energy up in this level, especially before we break for lunch. He used to own multiple bars and restaurants before he came into this industry. We are comprised of so many people in different walks of life that we've just attracted into this industry, and he's one of them. He wants to help change this industry for the better. He is an open book. He is an amazing person to know. He lights up a room when he comes into it. And so without further ado, we're going to bring up Jasin Quimby, and he's going to talk to us about commercial roofing. Thank you. Woo!
Let's go!
Woo!
Presentation for you. So we're going to zoom through these, so please take notes. We're going to be zipping through a lot of these slides really quick. So in case you guys didn't know it, you're not in the roofing business, you're in the people business. In the rest of your life, I want you to remember you're in the people business. No matter where you go, what you're doing, everything is a relationship, and everything is built on trust and how to get there. That's the key to any industry. So we're the country's largest pre-litigation commercial law firm that represents the insureds, so we can help represent contractors and everybody involved in the process. We stay at pre-litigation. We don't take it to suit, and if we do, it has to go to a different law firm. So we're very incentivized to keep it pre-lit. So today's conversation is going to be about you as a person. I'm going to need some volunteers throughout this conversation. So if you've got the guts and courage to raise your hand, I'm going to call on you for a couple different questions. So here we go. Seek to understand before being understood. That means ask questions before you assume anything. No one cares what you know until they know you care. If you're asking questions, they will know you care about their intentions, their goals, and you can better make judgment if you ask enough questions. ABCs of sales, we all know, is always be closing. But most people don't know what ABCs of good business are. So right here we have a quick slide on attitude, behavior, and consistency. We all know McDonald's makes the world's best hamburger. Would we agree? Yeah. Liar. We know they're consistent, and we know they're very popular, but they're labeled on every state, every city corner across the country because they're consistent. All right, here we go. Get into the ABCs of good business. Now, this goes for you as a person. This goes for you as management, leadership, and if you're potentially going to be an owner one day. Pay attention to the ABCs and why you're here today. Be coaching. If you cannot coach a fellow teammate, if you cannot coach or explain something really simply to a insured asset owner, maybe you don't know as well as you think you do. And the importance of this is it makes you self-aware so you can learn more, so you can be a better coach. I know a lot of guys in this room right now who are good at coaching because they've gotten their butt kicked a lot. So they learned from it, and now they have experiences that allows them to be better coaches. It also drives you to be a better leader one day. But more importantly, always be coachable. You guys are in this room right now because you need to learn a couple extra golden nuggets, a couple skill sets that helps you, it helps your team, and helps your company. So if you're always coachable, you're going to be the next person to elevate and scale yourself. And the more you're learning, the more you can coach. I need a couple volunteers. I need 2 volunteers with a pen and paper. 1, 2, here we go. Can you write down the first 3 words that come to your mind when I say the very first word you learned as a child that had 5 letters? Ready? The word is apple. Write down the 3 words that come to your mind. You done? You got 3 words written down? No pressure. Everybody keep a mental note of your 3 words in your head too. All right, what are your 3 words? Fruit, round, and red. Yours. Red, green, tasty. Did anybody else have any different words? What'd you have? Eve, Newton, red. All right, really quick. Are all those guys wrong or are they right? They're all right? We can't describe the first word we learn as a kid consistently. We can't describe an apple consistently. So the app association game is a basic communication skill you as a leader and in your own organization need to learn really quickly. It helps you take a very simple word. We all know what apple is, but maybe we're thinking of apple in a different complex way. Apple phones, right? Apple pie, apple trees, apple computers. No one's wrong, but we can't even get the same word across in a basic conversation. That means when you're trying to explain complex things like we use synthetic ISO, they don't know what the hell you're talking about. Forget, do they understand what you're trying to say? So while you might want to use fancy words, we can't even get the basic words right, even on intrapersonnel in your own company. When you tell somebody I'm upset about this, maybe you're not mad, maybe you're disappointed, and they hear it differently, and there's responses to this. Today's conversation is going to be about how to communicate on a really elementary level. And so when you're communicating with somebody who's a decision maker or next to a decision maker, how are you communicating so you know for a fact they know exactly what you mean? Roofing system comparisons is one of my favorite. Is there any volunteers? I just need one guy who's never done a commercial job before. I'm going to ask you a or B conversation. This gentleman right here. So you've never done a TPO. Great. What's your name? Steve, thank you for having the courage to raise your hand. I appreciate that. All right, so when you're talking to these decision makers and you're gonna say, hey, I'm a contractor, I know how to do this, and you throw a lot of fancy jargon at them to impress them, they don't understand what you're saying, but it makes you feel good about yourself and you think you're implying value. You said, Steve? Steve, which one of these would you pick when you explained it to you insured? Heavy duty synthetic ISO or double layered membraned ISO? Which one would you be best fit for your insured? Heavy duty. Can anybody tell them why this is the wrong answer? It doesn't exist. Neither of these technically exist in the way they're written. So if you guys as a new person don't understand it, why would you assume somebody who's not in the roofing industry doesn't understand it, nor would they appreciate the value of what you're trying to sell them? In the Apple game, we can't communicate the complex things if they don't understand the basics. So this is an example of fancy words in our industry don't mean crap if the president of this HOA has no idea what ISO means. Forget the different layers of it. So don't get caught up in, I need to know technically everything. I need to know is this a 2.5 inch because it has a better R value. They don't care. They care about you and they trust you and they like you. So drive that home. Don't get caught up in the details. Why do potential clients blow you off? This is an important conversation. I deal with a lot of contractors sometimes. We're not gonna mention any names. When they're in the sales process, and sometimes I'm there with them, they don't know when to shut up. You know what I'm talking about. Some of these guys get excited. Maybe they're nervous. And they just can't stop talking. That it creates a defense mechanism in their brain where they're being pitched, they're being sold, it's being forced upon them. And it kind of goes back to, I don't want to be sold. I don't want to be taken advantage of like a car salesman. Typically could because that'd be a transaction. And if they feel that way, they're going to be polite and push you away, delay you, throw you off, and give you a bunch of rebuttals. And it's because you're talking too much and you're being too pushy. You're not asking enough questions. We all live in a world of sales. And as obviously the internet's helped us improve communications across the board, nobody in this world lives in a world that doesn't have sales as part of their daily grind. Nowadays, everybody's in a sales capacity where they know they can smell and feel a sales pitch coming. And when you hear it, especially guys who are really good at sales, you're like, oh, I know what's coming. I know what's happening. Let's stop right there. Even though your heart might be in the right place, it smells like a pitch and it feels like a pitch. So be aware, are you selling or are you telling? You should put more of your energy in telling a story on how you're gonna solve their problems. I once heard a great analogy about why people have stage fright and why they fear talking on stage in front of people. And it's because the self-conscious part of them says, I feel guilty that I'm selling them something they don't want. Who here would feel confident to say, I'm gonna save your life. I need you to listen to me now. I would have no problem explaining to somebody to you, you might need to breathe, stage one. Let's start with the breath. So in this, I need you to feel confident, know when you're talking to these people, I'm here to solve a problem you're not aware of. And that's only gonna come from asking questions, making them tell you all of their concerns out of the gate. So it's a big deal letting them know, put their guard down. Let them know, I'm here to help you. You need me, and I can be comfortable, sit back here and patiently wait. And I want you to get all your concerns out. You ever done an insurance claim before? My first question. No, great. I already know your concerns out of the gate. Number one question we get, how long is this gonna take? How much is it gonna cost me? Great, this is basic 101 stuff. But when you're dealing with asset owners in the commercial space, they have a different set of concerns. And knowing how to address those in advance, because they've never done a claim before, as an example, you're prepared for those questions. So understand the pain points in different sectors of our industry matters. If you're talking to an HOA, for example, I do a lot of HOAs across the country. Almost every HOA board, all made up or comprised of volunteers. Those volunteers could be a retired teacher, a retired police officer, ex-lawyers, ex-doctors, or the ex-gardener who just wants to be on the board. Why would you expect them to understand this complex industry? And it is. Don't kid yourself because you're comfortable with it. It's very complex to them. It's very intimidating. It's also in the human behavior, we don't like change. So when somebody's selling you on a multi-million-dollar decision on the spot and they're already intimidated on a language they don't understand, be aware of that. How do you make them feel more comfortable? They have two pain points. It's money, time, and somewhere in the middle there, you're the solution. And if you provide them pain points that could occur, great example, apartment complexes or HOAs, they know they have to attend to their tenants, the homeowners, the association, the community. If you let them know in advance, we understand the pain points you're about to go through during this process. Our job is to make sure we communicate well. So when the community has to move their cars on section 1, we're gonna have fences up. We're gonna let them know they're gonna get 2 weeks notice to move their cars in advance. This job might take a week and a half. So that way we know you're not gonna hear any guff about it. We're gonna give you all the updates and so your board and your community is happy. I'm solving problems they didn't even think about in the initial conversation. And it tells them emotionally, I'm here to make your life easier, not harder. So sell with the tell a story, solve their problems. Nobody cares about price and nobody cares about, hey, is this gonna cost this much? They wanna know they're taken care of and they're protected. Mutts. You remember this word, mutts. If everybody's got dogs in here, we know all about mutts. So this is my pain points identifiers and how to qualify somebody in these conversations. Again, if you're a volunteer and you're on a board, or even you're a property management company, they don't deal with insurance claims every day, but their association is part of these conversations. So if you can identify what their pain points are, and by the way, these are in no particular order. I did it this way just so I would spell out the word mutts, just so you'd remember it, okay? So money, the lack of or fear of losing it. Obviously, most of these apartment complexes, REITs, and property management companies, HOAs, they have a reserve. And part of that money every year in their CapEx budget either goes towards that year's projects, improvements, or it's delayed for an allocation for a new roof every 20 years, for example. So they know money's coming from somewhere, and your job is to say, hey, I got you. Besides your deductible, We can take care of this. We have a great team. We have PAs. We have attorneys. We have a team supporting us to make sure your property is protected. Money is not going to be your conversation. Understand them for your services today. What are you providing them? You're providing them solutions to problems they're not aware of. If this is, I'll give you an example. On the EMS side, these guys are coming in to prevent mold from happening, prevent health issues, especially in Florida and some part areas where there's a lot of retirees. Air quality is a big deal. So proactively, we're going to solve these problems so it doesn't become as an issue. So we need to take action today. But they need to understand why this matters today. Trust. Trust, in my opinion, is right up there next to oxygen. Nobody's going to make a decision in your life, your friends, anybody you know, without trust. Your wife still hangs out with you because she trusts you, or at least mine does a little bit. So time, that's probably my favorite point that is most important to most of these asset owners that you guys are going to talk to in the commercial space. And a sense of urgency, or the lack of understanding, there's a sense of urgency. Now, there's a fear tactic I don't want to use, but if they're not aware of it, it's also your responsibility to make them aware of it. Who's good at math? Got a simple math question for my contractors. All right, Steve, would you agree 50% of the roofing contractors in Texas are douchebags? Yep, no argument there? Okay. Sometimes I hear back at least 50%, at least 60%. Would you all agree there's some douchebags out there in our industry? Yep, none of you guys. Why is it that guy who's very selfish and inconsiderate and doesn't really care about these homeowners, why are they getting the business? What are they doing that you're not doing and your heart's in the right place? I know there's a guy in this room right now. He's at church twice a week. His heart's in the right place and he cares about his employees. How come that guy down the road, why is he getting the business and we're not? And our heart's in the right place. And it's a conversation of positioning yourself in the market. Same thing with the commercial space. How do you get them to know you care about them, not trying to sell them? And if you're aware of some of these patterns in your community across the country, you can start identifying, go into the Google reviews, what are their complaints, and how can you become better than that by being aware of what your competition's not doing? Again, I'm just going to zip through these. We don't have a lot of time here. System. A system for success is following something that's very consistent. Any one of you guys tomorrow could buy a McDonald's, and none of you have to figure anything out. How long to cook the French fries, how long to flip a burger, how long you need to get a drive-through it. You don't have to figure anything out because you're following a system. System stands for save yourself stress, time, energy, and money. Remember that the rest of your life. Save yourself stress, time, energy, and money. This is going to go back to your organization and then why you do the things you do and why your employees need to do what they do. I don't need them to figure it out in the street. Just follow our system. Just follow our system. That's it. This will help allow you to grow because everybody's doing things consistently. This is why McDonald's is here. Consistency, trust, perceived value, peace and joy, childlike memories. McDonald's is the worst burger in the United States of America. But man, they do billions of dollars, and we know this information. But emotionally, we're connected to the idea of good childhood memories. If I go to this one in Texas or this one in California, that burger is going to be the same and consistent. Consistency tells you, I know what I'm going to get, and I'm okay with it. It gives me a little peace knowing this. If I call one roofing company to do a TPO patch job, are they going to heat weld it? Are they going to use a chemical adhesive and the thickness of the millimeters is going to be off and then the water's not going to shed completely? Are they doing a good job or good enough? You want consistency with your brand. You have a personal brand and then you have a company brand. I know some people in this room are rock stars at their company, and their company has a certain attitude about business, and then individually, they have their own brand, and you should have your own brand. It's your name out there, and I know a bunch of people who've changed companies from 1 year, 3 years later, different company, but it's the same person. They're buying from you. They're not buying from the company. The insured or asset owner does not care what color logo you have on. Would you agree with that? So if you are a shady salesperson, they're going to know no matter where you go. If you're a good person and you put your heart out there, you're golden. How to form a relationship. This is one of my 30-second ideas here on how to build trust. Now, I don't obviously do it in the same order it pronounces it, but basically it's your family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. Or what's your incentive? What are your goals? So here's one of my favorite stories. We're at a Chili's sitting at a bar, and our friend Richard's bartended one day, and we're with this guy named Mike. Mike's sitting there, and this cute waitress walks up to us. We really don't know her, and we introduce Mike to this girl. And she says to him, the first question to Mike, "What do you do for a living?" And he goes, "Oh, I bust tables." And she's like, "Cool, bye, loser." Right? That was her first question. What's your occupation? In that moment, he felt a little embarrassed. And we felt embarrassed for him because of how quick that judgment happens. I want you to think about this when you're talking to these people out there in the industry, in your life personally. Occupation is what you're doing to pay your bills right now. It does not define who you are or what you want to be. So we told Richard, "Hey, get her back here. I'm going to bust her balls." So she comes back, and I said, "Ask him what he's in school for." She's like, "Okay, what you in school for, Mike?" "Oh, I'm going to school to be a doctor." Her perception changed in half a second as she felt humiliated, going, "Damn, I'm that person who judged him because of what he did today." I want you to think about that yourself when you're judging other people, or the person at the front gate who's a gatekeeper, who may become a manager one day, or an associate of yours who might become a general manager of a company one day. Don't judge anybody, because this industry, as you will learn really quickly, is really small. We've seen a lot of people change companies, identities, or start their own. So please, please, please be aware. Everyone here is fighting and striving to be a better version of themselves. So if you can build a relationship with the asset owner, a decision maker, find out, go on social media. Does he like bike riding across the country, hiking? Are they really big into the church? Are they big into taking care of their 2 boxers and traveling the world? If you don't know anything about them and you didn't take that energy, why do you deserve their business? I see a lot of guys who struggle in the retail industry, residential space, and they're just quick to make a buck. Steve Little said it yesterday. You should be prepared to get married in these conversations in the commercial space. This isn't a quick hit it and run. This is, I need to get to know you. I need to know what matters to you and how can I help solve your problems? How can I make your organization become better because I'm aware of how to build this relationship? I think we're making good time. Here we go. What's the most important things in life? I've got oxygen, water, food, and faith. That's number 1. Number 2, trust. Trust is right below oxygen. Every time you're talking to somebody in these network events, and every time you're explaining what you do, be aware they're judging you. They're challenging your integrity. They want to know, are you really that person you say you are? They're not going to know that the first time. But if you say you're going to text them and you do, hey, at least you're consistent. If you're going to email somebody back when you say you are, wow, now you're building consistency, which builds trust. So be aware of that. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And I don't care. There's no such thing as excuses. Own it. Take accountability for it. Don't get me wrong, things happen. But if you want to build trust, be consistent. Proactive door knocking. There we go. It's one of my favorite things. A lot of residential guys in the retail space have this habit of going out and doing the clover leaf. Just work in an area, go knocking doors, and let's say you pick up the house at the end of the street, you ask for a referral, and it goes well. Your lead source is dead after you've knocked these doors and you've gotten that business. And you have to start all over next week and start all over again. And it's very cumbersome and it's very challenging over time. In the commercial space, you should spend a portion of your time every week doing homework or your due diligence on that apartment complex who's managed by a property management company on the other side of the state to find out who the decision makers are before you leave your house. If anybody's ever door knocked an apartment complex, most of the time the owner doesn't live there. So why would you expect to talk to a decision maker day one at that property? Who are you asking for and why? So these are some habits you could do a lot of research at home, at night, on a rainy day. Who, not how. So nobody likes to talk to gatekeepers because their job is to brush you off. I remember working the Keller storm in Texas. It's like 4-inch hail balls. I walked into, at this time, a storage unit place. There was a stack of roofer cards this thick. And I was a PA at the time. And I'm like, wow, that last guy doesn't realize he's number 49 of the day. What makes you guys different? Why would they call you back? They're not going to call you all back. Nobody's going to get that opportunity. So knowing who to ask for, not on the property, because they're usually going to be off site. So when knowing how to go through that path is going to save you so much time and energy, which equates to success. How to reach out is just as important as how, who. Maintenance department, human resources, or example. Gather data on the company. Great example. We found out there was a company that did this huge big project in Seattle one time. And we said, hey, that was pretty cool. You guys did this big roofing project. This guy lit up. Like, you saw that? That was my baby. I did that. That's right. I did the homework on the company. I did a little research. I know their company motto was. Because I knew what it was, I know their condition, especially in leadership or the decision makers. Their motto is part of their culture. If you're not aware what's important to them, why do they think you care about them? They don't. They think you're just another guy selling something really quick. So their guard's up until you do some homework. Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Every company I've ever reached out to, ever, I go into Google reviews and I find out what your complaints are. They don't get back to me in a timely manner. They're expensive. The warranty wasn't validated. Really quickly, I can tell you what separates a lot of the companies out there. So I know what my competition's weak at, and I know what solution I can provide for them. So in these asset owners and property management companies, for example, I'm going to stick in this multifamily space right now. We know the attrition rate and turnover and the tenants from these apartment complexes is high. Why is there always complaint? Is it because management doesn't know how to communicate? Is it because the property isn't being maintained? Either one of these opportunities and complaints, you're the solution. That's what we do, is the solution. I'm going to make sure your property stays well. I can offer you a service agreement to make sure we maintain your property. I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen again. And what happens to this property manager? Their bonuses go up. They have an incentive to care about this because you're going to make them look good. Since you now know who the property decision makers are, and this is a tough thing to do. I'm not saying it's easy. And this is why your commissions are going to be quadruple than it is in the residential space. You put more time in it to get to the front door, just to have an opportunity to talk to one of these people. So if I was to ask the HR department, hey, does Jerry Jones or Tom Brady handle the insurance claim that we're working on? How's the HR department going to respond? No, it's not neither one of those guys. It's going to be Alex Johnson. Thank you, HR department. Now I know who to ask for. So within one phone call, I know who the decision maker is because she corrected me. Corrections equal directions. To be told you're wrong is an advantage. Take this information and run with it. So sometimes if you want to learn something, ask the wrong question. But at least the names I brought to the conversation are people on the executive board. They potentially could be. So knowing who to ask for takes a little homework, and asking the right people, they'll give you the right direction. I also bring up maintenance departments because it's a trusted person on this job sites. If anybody's been to an apartment complex or HOA, that maintenance guy is one of the highly trusted individuals on that property. Let's call them Jose or Juan, for example. I've walked a lot of properties with these guys, and they will tell you, over there, that screen's busted. Over there, there's hail hits on that siding. He knows that because that's his baby. You get with this guy, he'll point it all out for you, and he'll say, thank you for helping me, because this is his property to take care of. He and you then go to management and say, hey, we found a lot of damage that was not here before, and they'll trust his word over yours. That's how you get past a couple gatekeepers really fast. Okay, here we go. So in the commercial space, in my opinion, property management companies in the commercial area is the number one because your lead source might be one property management company who oversee hundreds of properties who need help and attention throughout the year. Now, there's a lot of creative MSA programs. We have one ourselves that collab with contractors. You can have a maintenance program yourself that you can use as a tool. It's a service opportunity. We can maintain your property. We'll be on site within 48 hours, depends on the type of storm that existed. and we'll make sure you're the top of our priority. Proactively, you're adding value before there's a problem. And all you're asking for is, give me a shot. I will make sure your property doesn't suffer. I will be here for your team. And this is something we want for the long term. I'm in marriage with you guys. Let's go. So down this list, kind of in a hierarchy, there's also different incentives you should be aware of. Row number 3, every one of them has a percentage sign. Business brokers, real estate brokers, and real estate investment trust. Let's just say real estate brokers, for example. In every community, if you go to any of these major websites like loopnet.com or something, there's these commercial real estate brokers, and they sell businesses and buildings. That guy gets a commission. If that commission gets affected to increase his commission, do you think he might be interested in what you have to say? My best analogy on this was a $2 million job in Oklahoma, in Norman, basic shop and plaza. There was roof damage. He wanted to sell the property for $4 million, but it had a bad roof, and he knew that. So he said, okay, cool. This was like 9 years ago. And what happened is we said, hey, let's change the dynamic of this. And the contractor on board with us said, what if we got you a brand new roof and new HVAC? How much would you sell it for then? I mean, it's a $2 million roof, right? Could you increase your price by $2 million? Yes. But what if you only want to increase your price by $1 million and it didn't cost you anything? He loved it, loved the idea. And I said, now here's where it matters to these asset owners. Time. How fast could you sell a property with a brand new HVAC, brand new roofing system? No more, oh crap, what am I buying? Knowing everything's brand new and up to code increases its value on the market. It increases the commission for the broker, and the guy selling the property can move it quicker and for more money. It doesn't cost them anything. It's got to get repaired anyways. So why not go through this path? And I use this analogy because you're adding value to things they're not thinking of. You're the problem solver for them. Fire, remediation, soot, ash, smoke experts. The panel before this are experts in the country, not in Texas, on understanding the complexities of the toxicity that happens nobody's aware of. The levels that exist out there, we breathe in, breathe out every day, can help these guys make sure we have a clean bill of health. An industrial hygienist, for example, signs off on this. So if there was a storm, there was mold in the neighborhood, for example, during a major hurricane, you now have a stamp of approval knowing this property's super clean. It adds value to the sell price. It adds value, peace of mind for the asset owners, either tenants or HOA community. So be aware of what these incentives are, and that's something you can do as a sales pitch. You can say, I know what you're trying to do, and I can help you increase that. It'll make you different. What to say if you're connected to the right person right away. And what I mean by this is, let's say you talk to the HR department, and they're like, no, you need to talk to Alec Johnson. Here, I'll connect to you right now. Oh, crap, here we go. So the fork in the road, if anybody ever plays chess, that's why I use that chess analogy. There's a move in chess where you have a knight. A fork gets to mean I can go either direction, and I'm going to get you. So it doesn't matter what you do, I'm set up for success. So I want you to think about this. You get transferred to Alex, the decision maker. And how do you overcome an objective? You don't allow one. You say, I'm here to talk to you about the insurance claim on your property. I don't have an insurance claim on my property. What are you talking about? That's why I'm calling. We know you're going to need one. You're going to need help from a maintenance and a new roof. We want to make sure it's done. We have a support staff here to help you go through that process. That's why I'm calling, is to help you go through this insurance claim. I already filed a claim. I know. That's why I'm calling, to help you go through this process. We're the construction tie. We have an attorney on our side. We can help you go through this process. This is why I'm calling. Their response is irrelevant to what I'm going to do. I'm going to help you either way. Does that make sense? Yes? Whatever they're saying, my answer is yes. That's why I'm calling to help you. And at that point, he feels like, okay, all right. His guard lets down. What do you mean you're going to help me? And at that point, you have an opportunity to explain how this is what you do, you specialize in, and we have a team behind us to support you. The quarter pounder rule. God bless AI. That's pretty cool. All right, here we go. The quarter pounder rules. In the commercial industry, we talk about this all the time. Please be patient. Please be patient. What you focus on this quarter, you'll start to see the results next quarter. What we focus on now, we'll start seeing the results later. So every 90 days, I want you to think about yourself. Did you move the needle? And every internal CRM, if the owner and management's paying attention, you'll notice the needle is moving in the forward direction or backwards direction. And then you'll know the why. Are you spending too much? Is your lead acquisition cost too high? Is your conversion rate too low? Why? And at this point, whatever you're figuring out per quarter, and I want you to think about this in the long term, how can we move that needle in the right direction? But it does take patience. You only get good at what you practice. I love sports. I'm a foodie. I love restaurants. When I go out, I'm always using those analogies because we know we can all relate to that. No football team here hasn't had a losing season or a winning season. But it took consistency. It took practice and also owning what sucked that year and what changes had to be made in your own organization and you personally. Time versus money. So let's just go with Steve. Steve, you haven't done the commercial stuff, so this is perfect for you. You ready? Would you rather make $10,000 commission in 75 days or $13,000 commission in 400 days? You don't need money? All right. So the idea is $10,000 now or wait, I don't know, a year and a half for $3,000 more. Most of these asset owners think in that same time frame. I need to get results now. Can your contractor help me now? Can the attorney or PA help me now? I need results now. I've got tenants who are about to sue me, break their lease because you want to drag your feet and slow roll this to get extra money. We need results now. So time, just remember this, and your solution, your pain points, is the number one emotional pain point you can solve by addressing it in the beginning. If somebody brings me a State Farm policy, I promise, I say, yeah, this is going to take a while. I tell them at a gate, it's State Farm. This is how the game works. And I'm honest with them about it so that we can set expectations. But typically, if a contractor does a good job, documents well, and we have an honest conversation about the storm, time is something we could take advantage of as a selling point for you for problems you can solve. So think about the rest of your life, time over money. This is an addition to that. A contractor or an asset owner of this apartment complex in Florida doesn't care your product costs $10,000 more. If the insurance company is taking care of it, take price out of the equation. But if it takes us 3 years to get this job done, what does $10,000 matter if you give them a $10,000 discount? So we all know the service, product value, quality of service, and the financial part of this industry and the sales industry. We know money is part of it. But make sure your value trumps what 1% might make. And because you're going to care about this, they're going to notice the money's not going to be part of your sales pitch. Reaching out via social media platforms. Has anybody, I'm just going to say Facebook or LinkedIn, ever gotten a message that was a mile long? Don't you love those? You're getting a novel. Hey, my name is John, and here's a book about the history of my company. Delete. I respond that way. I would assume you respond that way. And why wouldn't that person who gets 100 emails a day, let's say it's the COO of a company or a vice president or one of my favorite people, they're not going to read your biography. They're not going to care about your novel. You're going to get deleted if they find out what you're going to do. So obviously, we know what KISS stands for. Keep it simple, stupid. Make your message clear, concise. Create a little curiosity, right? Wait a second. What are you saying? I'm a little confused. I'm curious now. That's an opportunity to engage. Let them qualify themselves by selling the no. There's a great book or two out there on selling the no. Make no your primary objective. I do this with cocky contractors sometimes when I go, hey, my job is to help you, to help the insured, and then they want to be combative and say, I don't need you, I can do this on myself. And I go, you probably can. You might not even qualify to work with us. Your product line might not even work with us. So I don't know if we can work together. It's like, slow down, buddy. I'll tell somebody you don't qualify, they really quick want to know, what does that mean? Now, it's a true statement. I'm not saying it to be cocky back, But we know 10 to 30% of these policies that we see, garbage. ACV with endorsements and exclusions. There's nothing I could do sometimes to help these people. 5% deductibles. So if everything goes perfect, I can get you $10,000 on your $2 million roof. You don't qualify. It's a waste of everybody's time. So let these guys know, I'm here to qualify you to see if we can help you. I might not be able to. So let them know you're providing a service. We can do policy reviews. I can see if I can even help you. We know you're going to start leaking. Maybe it's a year from now. Maybe it's 2 years. But at that point, we can't help you anymore. But if we can get access to the policy, I can find out what your needs are. I can qualify you to see if we can even help you. And obviously, we know there's some financing options and different ways to get them moving. But let them know out of the gate, I'm here to help you, create a little curiosity, what makes you different. All the asset owners have different pain points, but knowing how to communicate with these asset owners is a big deal also. Now, I like to use this retail residential analogy because emotionally it's really simple. The STAR stands for statistical, theoretical, action, and relationships. These are the common personality traits that we all have, and we typically have 2 of them in combinations with each other. Let's say the stat guy. We know Dave, he likes his data. I need to see 7.5 or higher on his toxicity report before he'll take it into consideration. We know theoretical people need to go, if this happens, I can get you this result. Theoretically, what I could do to help you, ma'am, is do this, and maybe we could do this. Some people like the imaginary idea. The action people are the ones that said, hey, I need to see proof you've done what you said you're going to do. Send me your flyer, send me your BBB report. Let me know some work projects you've done in the past. Show me factually what you've done. Don't tell me. So be aware of those guys and come in prepared. Relationships. Now here's my residential one to make fun of the ladies out there in the world. My wife, for example, she wants our house to look really nice in the neighborhood. Emotionally, she wants to make sure the kids are taken care of, the dogs are taken care of, and she has a clean house in the neighborhood. She doesn't care about price. She doesn't care about data points. So if you don't know who you're talking to, you might be just wasting your energy if it's talking about the wrong emotional bullet points and buttons for them specifically. So be aware of these different types of personality types when you're having these conversations. Does anybody know the definition of hospitality? Can I get a volunteer? It's a tough one. Usually they respond with great service. Yep, that's what you get when you go drive through McDonald's. They give you your food right, hot, and fast. But is that hospitality? You go to the convenience store. Is that hospitality? No. Hospitality is the emotional response you get out of someone when you know they care about your experience. So my analogy is, anybody ever been to the local diner and the old lady who's cooking your food comes out and says, Jake, did you eat all your vegetables? I've been cooking them all day. And you say, yes, ma'am. You know she cares about your experience. She put her heart into that. And she cares you eat all your food because you paid for it and she worked hard for it. Do your clients feel that way when you deal with them? Do they? And if there's not that emotional connection, you're not going to build a sincere relationship. And our industry sucks at this part. My background is in hospitality, so my brain operates at how can I sincerely add value so this guy never forgets me that I give a shit about them. When you're working with commercial people and you're in this long-term relationship, they have to know you care. And by the way, unless you're God, you're not perfect. And I don't know anybody else in this room who's perfect. You're going to make mistakes, but I promise they'll forgive you if they know you care. So be aware of this. How can you help add value to their lives? By sincerely caring about the experience. It's not just a transaction. All right, here we go. Here's one of my favorite stories that'll hopefully impact the rest of your life. Okay, the number one rule I say all the time is, how do they know you care? How do they know? And the answer is, you have to give a shit. You can't fake that part. You can't fake it because when you get to them, when you get to them, when you respond to them 3 days later. This is not a 9-to-5 job in our community. It is not. It's 5 to 9. You want to make a difference? Answer the phone call on the weekends every now and then. Don't get me wrong, you need boundaries. But you need to know I'm here to help you when you need help. It's not all the time there's an emergency, but answer the damn phone. All right, so now you've got this new client and you guys are engaged. How do you keep them? And this is where a lot of the residential guys lose clients over time, is they can't maintain that level of hospitality. You sold them, you signed the deal, congratulations, I'm out. I'll do the job and I'll never talk to them again. And this is where people lose that long-term relationship. So last, it's a problem-solving ability to communicate with people from the hospitality mindset. It stands for listen. Listen first. Listen. A, apologize for the situation. You're not apologizing that you're wrong. You're apologizing this conversation's even happening. I feel bad that we're having this miscommunication. I'm apologizing for the scenario. Stop for a second and go back to L. Listen some more. Let them get them all out of their system. S, solve the problem. Do you know how you solve the problem? You listen. They'll tell you exactly what they're asking for. How to solve it is in the listen portion. And the most important, thank them from the bottom of your heart. Thank them profusely that you had the courage to bring this to my attention instead of going on the internet bashing me. Thank them for having the time and energy. Sometimes on the conversation, I'll say, thanks for having the balls to call me. I wasn't aware of this, and I need to thank you that you had the time to call me, so my company's better, my staff is better, the community's better because you took the time to help my company, which what? Helps my family. You tell somebody thank you 10 times for having a disagreement, that's somebody you have for life. How do you handle the problems is gonna separate you faster than anything else. Anybody can sell a roof, but can you maintain these high-level relationships forever? And I promise, it's your fault or not, problems are gonna happen. How you handle that is where the emotional part of hospitality comes into. Does that make sense? Good? The biggest reason contractors, PAs, and lawyers fail, number one, poor communication, not calling somebody back, not being consistent on following up, no returned emails, short responses. Now, I'm gonna say from my relationship to contractors, if a contractor's out in the field and he has a relationship with an asset owner and they ask him or you, what's going on with my claim? And he says, I don't know, let me find out. And I can't communicate with a contractor, how does that make you feel? Stupid, makes you feel unimportant, makes you feel neglected. Why would you ever give me business again? I'm making you look dumb in front of your client. The same thing goes for you and your asset owners. Be involved, give a shit. Don't just sign it and move on to the next one. If you don't have a business partner in this relationship who can communicate well, you don't have the right team. So be aware of that when you can't realize you can't grow your commercial sales, is there's a gap in communication somewhere. Obviously, the speed of delivery. We can get this done for you in 60 days. Don't lie to them. You can't. We know after hurricane hit, there might be a 9-month lead time for tile on that product. Don't sell them a lie just to get in the door. Say, hey, because of the specialty tile that you have, we're about 9 months out. Maybe I could pull some tile from Colorado, ship it down here. Maybe we can get it in 6 months. I've now set the anchor here. I can possibly help them earlier, but I'm not gonna sell the deal. Now they're gonna give bad reviews and never do business with you again. Stop being the shortcut guy. So what if you had 2 big property management companies sending you business every month? And the idea behind this is you're buying less leads, the attrition rate of your company is gonna drop, your sales reps aren't gonna be looking for new companies, you know, the guys that you trained, now they're working for somebody else. They're not gonna jump ship because you've built an organization built on trust, consistency. Now you've got commercial jobs coming in. Your team's not going anywhere because they're in an environment that knows management cares, ownership cares. You're not going anywhere because they know it's important that everybody cares from the top bottom. Now you're being fed business because everyone's on the same team. So remember some of these takeaways. Seek to understand before being understood. Understand what's more important, time versus money. That's the money. Build trust first. Tell, don't sell. Tell stories, solve their problems. Give them more than you take. Add value first and say, if you need me, I'm here. And everybody knows in this industry, we all need to learn a few new tricks, a gold nugget here and there. Sell the no, make sure you qualify them. You're here to help them. They're not here to help you. NCA, we're the attorney-adjusted claims. We have attorneys fighting on the claims. We know we have a bigger stick, and we do it with love constantly. So if you guys don't know our boy Cam Wade, he's going to be on a panel tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Make sure you guys check out Cam. He's going to be talking about some of the industry changes. We got Eric Vickers. This is an important one. We deal all the time in the industry about how you can prevent multi-million-dollar mistakes. Don't get me wrong, some contractors are super talented, but sometimes they don't know how to read a POL, and it costs millions of dollars. So that's going to be a great conversation tomorrow. So if you guys have any questions, you want to reach out to me, here's my email address. I've got 2 minutes left. I can't believe I made it in time. And I appreciate you guys coming out and checking out the show today. Thank you very much.
Woohoo!
Let's go.
Thank you, Jason. That was amazing. Like, are we who we say we are? Like, especially when nobody's watching? Like, when nobody's looking at what we're doing behind the scenes, like, you called that out. Like, that stuck with me. Like, I tell people that all the time. Like, it's just basic, be a good human kind of principles. It's not rocket science. Do what you say you're going to do. Care about your reputation. Follow up. Don't just don't always have an agenda. This industry is known and has a bad reputation because a lot of the things that he pointed out that are simple, basic, common principles, we're not acting on. It's not rocket science. I will continue to go back to what I want my theme in this industry to be, and it's connection, not competition. When we stop trying to have a personal agenda for everything and always just think about what's in it for us, it's going to come back full circle. Let's start locking arms. Let's start actually being a blessing to those around us. The money will come. There's so many ways that we can there's so much opportunity. Are we who we say we are? Thank you, Jason. That was amazing. I was sitting up here taking lots of notes. Another round of applause. Thank you, Cam. Yes, absolutely.